I'm here at USAR 2014 at UCLA, and I'm speaking with Tal Galili. Hi, Tal.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. So we were just talking about the maker movement.
Yes.
You know, I think it's a fantastic movement. I think it's going to empower a great many people to do things that previously were unheard of. You know, there's been so many times where if a piece of equipment breaks in a remote city, in a remote place, they don't have the ability to get the part.
Yeah.
And with the spread of 3D manufacturing and 3D printing, that's going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
You were saying that there's a conference going on right now in Israel.
Yes, that's true. So I need to repeat it?
Yeah.
Okay. What I was saying is that there is now a conference called TOM, which is Tikkun Olam Makers, which means fixing the world by making it. And it's a conference that is held in Israel. I can't remember exactly where, which is hosting together many makers from Israel, who is doing a hackathon on trying to find new ways of doing manufacturing that would benefit people with handicapped and have accessories printed to them and stuff like that.
That's fantastic. Anytime you can talk about moving the power to change the world from the hands of the few into the hands of the many, that's one of the things that really drives social change.
Yes.
To a degree, that's one of the things that attracted me to R and data science.
Yes.
You know, as a tie into that, you know, this distributed maker movement, they're going to be generating lots of data, and they themselves are going to be doing analysis.
Yes.
One of the things that you're famous for is R bloggers.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about how that came up?
How R bloggers came up. So, I think R bloggers is a hobby that kind of went out of control. It started out by me being introduced to the R world and not knowing much and wanting to find out new ways of how to use R and what can be done with it. And I naturally tried to look for bloggers who write about R. And starting to do that, I mean, the first step I took was to go to Google and type R and blog, and I discovered that there are many people who write about pirates, and not that many who write about R.
Yeah.
So I started out picking them one by one and trying to follow them on my own. And after a while, I realized that it's maybe not the way to go. That maybe what I should do is change my perspective, and instead of looking for bloggers, in some way incentivize them to find me.
Okay.
And what I did was start this aggregating website, and I explained to bloggers, give me permission to republish your content. And by doing that, you would have one central hub where I would find users who would consume your content and would get aware and would be aware of what you have to offer. And in return, I would know that you exist, and I would find interesting things to read. And at the beginning, I had people like David Smith, who was the main blogger at the time. He's still a main blogger, I think, also today. Lovely person, and at the time, he was very kind to give him permission to use his blog. And I also had one R tip a day, which I can't remember the blogger's name, but he was also one of the first bloggers who came up, and he didn't write one R tip a day at the time, but he did write several very nice posts that I found useful, and he also gave me permission, and so on. I picked them one by one, and I came to the R conference at the time. I can't remember if it was 2010. And I gave a talk about R bloggers, and I tried to tell people, you know, you should really blog, and you should really come over and start sharing your content in a way that everyone would have it very easily accessible, and not just keep it at forums. And I remember going to people one by one and telling to them, what are you doing? And they were telling me, and I said, wow, that's fascinating. Where can I read about it? Can you start a blog? And by starting a blog, can you join R bloggers? And I even have Marcus, I can't remember his family name, who does a Google Viz package.
Oh, cool.
And I remember having this conversation where he told me, oh, I'm not going to blog. And we had this long conversation. At the end of it, he emailed me and he said, you really convinced me to start blogging. And he thanked me, I think, a year later in the conference, or 2 years later. So I started this out just in that concept of saying, I want people to share their information. And if to say something else about why that motivates me, I think one of the biggest things that people think about when they're thinking about collaborative projects, they think, well, we should have this huge website that hubs everyone together and everyone should contribute, you know, like a wiki or something like that. And what I came to realize is that people are very selfish, self-motivated people, and very self-centered. And I'm saying this not in a negative way, just as a matter of fact, we're self-centered. And blogging, I think, is an incredible platform for people to be able to keep control over their content, over their comments, over what they think, over who can view what. and edit stuff. And by having your own blog, it's a wonderful way for people to redistribute their content in a way that they're the center of attention. Whereas in Wikipedia, the content is the center of attention, but you're not that important. And we want to feel important. We want to feel that we get full credit for what we do. So I think blogging is wonderful, but the problem with that is that you can't find anyone.
Sure.
And also one very common theme that I would hear from people is they would say, well, but I don't have much to blog about. I mean, I do something which is interesting maybe once a year that is worth publishing, so it's not worth starting a blog for. But this is where I came to them and I said, well, you don't need to work hard. All you need to do is you have the blog and update it once a year. And if I have 100 bloggers, I would have 100 articles a year.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So that didn't work so well because I now have over 550 bloggers.
Oh, wow.
Who write, some of them write more than once a year. So we get many, many articles and it's actually flooding a bit. But it turned out that there are many, many people who are convinced that they have something to share with the world, and they're doing an incredible job at it.
That's awesome.